morning. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Kiran Pasricha, and I'm delighted to welcome you all to a special session today under our program, the Ambassador Series. It's a unique platform set up by the Center for Interaction with Heads of Foreign Missions in India and Indian missions abroad. We are truly delighted to have with us His Excellency, Mr. Vincenzo di Luca, Ambassador of Italy to India today, and to share his vision with us on Italy and India, partners in sustainability and multilateralism. A very warm welcome to you, Ambassador. Ambassador has a long and distinguished career as a diplomat. Since 1989, he has served in many roles at the Foreign Ministry of Italy and has also served in Khartoum, Tunis, Paris, as well as Shanghai. Before arriving in India in December 2019, he served at the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation as Director General for Cultural and Economic Promotion and Innovation. Ambassador, it was wonderful having you with us a few months ago for the session we convened jointly with our partners, the Aspen Institute Italia, on Italy, Europe, and India, building a post-COVID economy. We are delighted to have you with us again today. We wish we could have hosted this session in person, but unfortunately, the circumstances dictate that we stick to a virtual format. I'm delighted to also welcome Ambassador Anil Wadhwa, former Secretary, Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India, and former Indian Ambassador to Italy. In his long and distinguished career with the Indian Foreign Service, Ambassador Wadhwa has been Ambassador of India to Italy and San Marino, Thailand, Oman, Poland, and Lithuania. As Secretary East in the ministry, he oversaw relations with Southeast Asia, Gulf and West Asia, Pacific, and Australasia. He has also served as the Indian Ambassador and Permanent Representative to FAO, IFAD, WFP, UNESCAP, and worked with the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons in The Hague. Ambassador Wadhwa, I'm so glad that you're chairing this important session today. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. I'm really looking forward to an insightful discussion today. And with that, Ambassador Wadhwa, the floor is all yours. Thank you.
Kiran, thank you very much for the introductions, and thank you all for joining us for this session on Italy and India, partners in sustainability and multilateralism. A welcome on my part to our speaker today, my friend, the dynamic ambassador of Italy to India, His Excellency Vincenzo di Luca, who's left no stone unturned, making sure that there is a steady progress in our bilateral relations ever since he assumed charge in New Delhi. And even in these times of COVID, he is constantly interacting with the outside world and using digital media ever so skillfully. Last year's virtual summit between former Italian Prime Minister Conte and Prime Minister Modi marked a very important milestone, and both our countries signed a joint declaration and a plan of action to prioritize areas of cooperation and strategic goals for the period of 2020-25. Both our countries believe in efficient multilateralism in order to respond to the needs of the multipolar world. And currently, India and Italy are very important partners in key sectors such as finance, railway development, the fashion industry, automobile manufacturing, etc. In fact, before the COVID onset, that was 2019, the trade volume between the two countries had reached 9.5 billion euros, and Italy is still India's fifth largest trading partner in the EU. Italian inflows of investments into India during April to December 2020 were 3.2 billion US dollars, and around 600 Italian companies are active in the Indian market, with the current focus being on advanced manufacturing, machine tools and metallurgy, the automotive industry, the energy transition, infrastructure, with a focus on railways, food processing and information technology. Of course, course, as India grapples with the challenges of a growing population, its urbanization and climate change, Italy is an ideal partner for India in circular economy, in waste and in water, waste to energy solutions, the pollution mitigating technologies, automation, and of course the entire food processing chain that includes food preservation, processing, and logistics. We all know that India has placed a lot of emphasis on infrastructure development, and that includes ports and airports, highways, smart cities, toll roads, etc. All of these require a lot of technological solutions and investments in infrastructure where Italy can play a very big role. In the field of space technologies and telecommunications and power, grid stabilization and distribution technologies, as also the aerospace industry, Italian companies have been present in India for a while and they can increase the share of the market. We know that there's ongoing cooperation in renewable energy, in chemicals and pharmaceuticals, in IT, in startups and innovation, recently in e-commerce, and now there is a big push for food processing and related technologies. And of course, luxury goods emphasis has been there for a long time with Italy. But small and medium enterprises collaboration holds great promise. There is an India Trento program for advanced research and centers for excellence and mutual strengths. These are both hallmarks of the Indo-Italian bilateral science and technology program. And the defense cooperation has been traditionally an important pillar as well of Indo-Italian relations. We proceeded well with our cooperation in counterterrorism. Education is now emerging as a strong area of cooperation. The cultural connect between the two countries, both of us are ancient civilizations, has always been very strong. So archaeology and preservation of monuments will remain a focus between our two countries. There are 160,000 strong Indian diaspora in Italy. And in 2020, India, if we recall, gifted a raft of support and relief material to Italy. Now, amidst the second wave, the ongoing second wave of the pandemic in India, Italy has lent much needed strong support to India. And Ambassador Luca himself was present when the oxygen generation plant was set up at the ITBP hospital in Greater Noida. Besides being a very important country in the EU, Italy is a member of prominent regional and global groupings, which includes G7, G20, NATO, and OECD. India and Italy would have joined the G20 Troika from 1st January 2021, along with Saudi Arabia, but now India has switched to hosting of the G20 summit with Indonesia and will be the host in 2023. But of course, India and Italy have always been and will be in touch to work through their Sherpas in areas of mutual interest in order to drive a common agenda, including an inclusive multilateral response to COVID-19 in all the relevant domains, including the WHO, the Global Health Summit, which has just been successfully held in Italy in May. And Italy has now taken over the G20 presidency in 2021. So we will work towards guaranteeing fair and universal access to diagnostics and vaccines. In the light of the EU's interest in the Indo-Pacific, Italy and India can work together in the region, especially on resilient supply chains and on infrastructure projects in third countries. So on my part, I will now stop with these introductory remarks. And we will now begin today's session with brief remarks by the ambassador. And this will be followed by a brief conversation between myself and Ambassador Luca, and then a 15-minute question and answer session with our audience. So please do send in your questions throughout the session. Please do not wait till the end. We will be taking up your questions during the question and answer session. If you're watching this session on Zoom, please use the Q&A portal at the bottom of your screen. And if you're on Facebook, please write your questions in the comments section. And Ambassador Luca, we look forward to hearing your views on the India-Italy relationship and how we can further strengthen and deepen these ties of friendship, of mutual cooperation and trust between our two countries. So over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Wadhwa, and thank you, Mrs. Pasricha, Chief Executive Officer of Ananda Aspen Center, for having invited me to this event. And I also hope that we will have in the next future opportunities to have meetings in person, but now we work on digital. We have been working on digital since last March 19. And I have to say that COVID taught us that also digital modalities could be very effective if we have a very close relationship, partnership. We have worked a lot during this last COVID year, started in Italy and now with the second wave here in India. Now situation is improving also here, but we have been able to even increase the number of meetings, the number of initiatives, and also new projects between Italy and India. I agree with you, Anil, that the relationship between Italy and India is a really a long-standing partnership and historical tradition of exchange since the Roman period, with the trade exchange between India and Italy. And then in the Middle Age, and again, after the independence, Italy contributed a lot to the first phase of the development here in India. I can mention in the 60s, the important investment projects carried out here in India by big companies like Fiat in the 60s in the automotive sector. And I also want to mention that the most iconic car of the Indian history, the Ambassador, was inspired by Italian design at that period. And also Piaggio contributed in the same sector, in machinery, and ENI and SNAM in oil and gas. So as you see, the partnership between Italy and India is really a strategic one, long-standing. And now we have experienced a new phase of this relationship that was underlined in the last bilateral digital summit mentioned by Ambassador Wadhwa, last 6th of November. For the first time, we adopt a long-term plan of action, 5 years, 2025, in line with the partnership between European Union and India, and also with the same priorities of investment and economic partnership. The area being green economy, energy transition, advanced manufacturing, food processing, and of course, all the area of creative industry, culture, movie, design, fashion, food. So I think we have a 360-degree kind of partnership. And now we are working also on more strategic sectors, like, as I mentioned before, energy transition and defense industry. That was underlined and also mentioned in the joint declaration, the plan of action of the last summit. Now we have also an important collaboration in the direction of a new, more effective multilateralism. Italy, as you mentioned, is this 2021 president of G20. Next year, we will share the G20 Troika with Indonesia and India, since India will be president of G20 in 2023. And we have already started our meetings for the G20 agenda. G20 agenda will be focused on 3 pillars: people, planet, prosperity. People means the fight against pandemics, the access to global health services, the access to vaccine, and also the exchange and the collaboration for new research to fight against further pandemics and to fight against global diseases. We hosted in Rome last 21st of May the Global Health Summit that adopted the so-called Rome Declaration. Rome Declaration for the first time sets out 16 principles in a global One Health approach. That means all the international community that has to work together to fight against pandemics and to provide universal access to health service all over the world. And precisely on COVID challenge, Italy pledged 300 million euro for the COVAX facility and 200 million for climate and health in poor countries, and 15 million doses of COVID-19 vaccine for low-income countries. We had also, in the last year, a very important initiative with the Indian government to exchange experience in the fight against COVID, also promoting collaboration between Italian hospital and Indian hospital, promoting joint research projects, and in the last second wave here in India, we provided oxygen and medical materials to the Indian government in an effort of solidarity and friendship. So people, planet, you know, Italy is this year is also co-chair of the COP26 that will be held in Glasgow in next November. And we host a global youth summit in Milan first week of October, just to involve the young generation to this global effort against climate change. But more important, we are starting with the Indian partners and authorities to launch a new innovative partnership between Italy and India in energy transition. Energy transition means to tackle the challenge of green energy, but also smart and digital grids, and also energy from waste, green chemical, green economy. In all these fields, Italy is in the frontier of new technology and research in Europe and all over the world. Anil is the leading company in the world in terms of investment abroad for renewable energy. They have installed 49 gigawatt all over the world, and in India is one of the most important Italian investors. In India, they have already planned 10% of all the global capacity in renewable energy like solar and wind. But also we have now here SNAM that is very committed to invest in hydrogen, in gas infrastructure, and also in compressed natural gas that is a new source for sustainable mobility. We have also Maire Tecnimont in the project for converting waste into energy and also in biofuel. The same for ENI, that is an historical presence here in India. And Piaggio has launched here in India an electricity three-wheels vehicle for the Indian market. What is very important is that Italian companies want to invest in India in the framework of Make in India and Self-Reliance India, because Italy considers India as a global manufacturing platform. This is the most important element of the partnership. Italy and India are two very important global manufacturing platforms. They have to integrate each other. Italy is the second manufacturing country in Europe after Germany, and India is one of the most important platforms in Asia and now also in other regions. That's why we would like to have a strategic partnership between Italy and India, because integrating our platform, productive platform, means we can contribute also to the diversification of the global value chains, and also to have more investment in research and technology, that we need now this new technology also to face CO2 emission reduction, because CO2 emission reduction does not concern only the energy sector, but also the industrial production, the way we produce goods, and also the way we have the environmental impact of our plants. That's why we are really facing a very interesting period in the relationship between Italy and India, because together we are facing global challenges like pandemics, as I mentioned before, climate change, and sustainable development. And the third pillar of our G20 is precisely prosperity. Prosperity means an inclusive recovery all over the world. We have to address the challenge of social imbalances, not only in each country, but also in the international community, in the global markets. And we share also the evolution of the trade system towards an equitable and fair global trade. Also, we have experienced a very important initiative this year in the culture field, as rightly Ambassador Wadhwa said. We are organizing two cultural festivals, one of Italy here in India and the other one of India in Italy. We have presented this festival this year, last February, with the meeting with physical presence, because at that period it was possible, with the presence of Minister Jaishankar. And of course, we will have very interesting events also in the cultural field, like in design, in music, with an innovative interaction between three continents: Europe, represented by Italy, Latin America, represented by Brazil, and India, which represents Asia. So we are also exploring new modalities of cultural dialogue, not based only on the historical tradition, but also on the contemporary creativity. So I think, and I want to stop here to leave Ambassador Wadhwa to go on the other chapters. I think we have here this time, in the coming 5 years, I think also in connection with the partnership between the European Union and India, and we hope that we can start soon the negotiation decides in Oporto on trade, investment, and geographical indication, a new chapter of the partnership between our two countries. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ambassador Luca. That was fascinating, and you covered a lot of grounds already with regard to the recent Global Health Summit in Rome, the COVID situation in general, and the bilateral relationship with its emphasis on energy transition and food processing industry, innovation and research, etc. Now, as a follow-up, Ambassador, let me take the liberty of asking you a few questions before we open up the session to questions from the audience. So my first question is on multilateralism. You referred to that in part. First of all, how do you see its future, and how Italy and India can cooperate with each other in the global arena? What are the fields specifically in which you see convergence between the two countries, and any suggestions you may have in this regard?
Yes, first of all, we share with the Indian government the vision on a new, more effective multilateralism that is based on the new reality of a multipolar world, a multipolar order. Of course, Italy and Europe want to play an important role in this new reality. And also the global challenges like health, climate change, social imbalances requires global response. But global response have to be focused on a more effective and inclusive multilateralism that can be organized in different kind of geometry. Of course, we have the global multilateralism, but we have also some regional multilateralism. And we have been happy to join some initiative of the Indian government, like the CDRI, the Resilient Infrastructure, the International Solar Alliance, we joined last month, and also the IORA and other very interesting initiatives promoted by the Indian government. And also we are trying to support an enhancement of the relationship between Europe and India, especially in trade and investment sector. Also with India, we share the idea to reinforce the WHO, because we need a multilateral strong organization to tackle with the challenges coming from health. And also a reform of the WTO that is in the direction of a more fair, equitable and inclusive organization for trade that also involve more small and medium-sized enterprise in the access to global market. So I think we have many points that we share with the Indian government, and this year we will have the opportunities with the important political meetings, both at the bilateral levels and in the framework of G20 Agenda, to share these visions. Also for the Indo-Pacific area, we share with India the principle of an inclusive and rule of law and respect of rights, international rights in the area, and also the role of the international organization and the regional organization in the area, where we want to invest more as Italy and as Europe. And we support the adoption from the European Union of a new strategy for Indo-Pacific that was recently adopted by the European Union.
Thank you very much for that very comprehensive answer. My second question is on the growing relationship between the EU and India. Italy is, of course, an important player for the revival and intensification of the India-EU partnership. That's in the areas of trade, investment, connectivity, digital technologies, and climate. And then, of course, we've had the resumption of negotiations now for the India-EU trade and investment agreements. So not only that, but simultaneously also the standalone investment protection agreement, as well as a separate agreement on geographical indications. So as a friend of India, how can Italy help in this regard? And which are the areas in which Italy sees itself as playing the role of a catalyst?
Yes, thank you very much, Anil, for this very interesting question. I think the summit in Oporto was a success, really a success, because European Union and India adopted an holistic and comprehensive approach in relaunching all the negotiations, as you rightly said, on trade, investment, and geographical indication. Not only, we had also an important agreement on connectivity between European Union and India in the framework of the Indo-Pacific region. Connectivity means interconnection of energy markets, more collaboration in the maritime relationship, and also in the digital market. So I think we have a lot of potential to do more as Italy and as Europe in India, in the neighbor countries, in the region. Our role as Italy, I think, could be really a forefront position because we have invested a lot in India. In the last year, COVID year, we launched 14 new investment projects precisely in the area of the priorities of the partnership between Europe and India, that are green economy, energy transition, machinery, food processing, and also chemical. So in all these areas, we can do more. We can already plan the new presence, new investment, new initiative, and we will contribute certainly to the partnership between the European Union and India. European Union and India can do more in research and technology, and also European Union can be a strategic, maybe one of the most important partners of India in all the Indian energy transition. Because, you know, Italy and Europe are the most interconnected energy market in the world. You can imagine that only Italy has 26 interconnections with neighbor countries. And the interconnection of the energy market is vital to be successful in making more green the economy and more green the energy all over the world. And also the expertise, the know-how, the technology that is necessary. Because, you know, when you are in this transition, you do not only need renewable energy, but you have to be able to introduce these new sources of energy in the energy market, in the grid, in the network. That's the challenge. And to address the challenge, you need expertise, you need technology, you need digitalization, but you need also expertise in terms of regulatory process. And you know, Europe has been the first liberalized market in the world in terms of energy market. We experienced this liberalization since the 90s, and Italy was the first country to open the energy market and to promote new investment from the private sector. I think this could be also useful in the exchange we have with India to have a more efficient energy market towards the ambitious target established in the Paris Agreement and also in view of the Glasgow new COP26. So I think this is the importance of the relationship between Europe and India. And also, I would say, in the most strategic area like defense industry, we can do more, especially as Italy, because we had some problem in the past, but now we have new opportunities, new potential to invest directly here in India, not only for the Indian defense procurement needs, but also to re-export from India strategic technology that we share with the Indian partners. And the one important point is that the Italian companies are quite familiar in a very friendly kind of partnership that is not only long-term view of the investment, but also promoting joint venture with Indian partners. We are familiar with this modality of investment abroad, more than other countries. And I think this is an added value of the Italian presence here in India. Since the 60s, there was the tradition of our partnership and relationship with India.
Ambassador, I would like to actually follow up on what you said just now, because you touched upon the important aspect of our defense cooperation. And we know that Italy has been very important for India in the field of shipbuilding, for underwater systems and radars, electronics, also some high altitude equipment. And all this continues to be recognized in India even today. As you mentioned, we had some setbacks in between, so we could not continue that cooperation at the pace and it required. But the institutions do exist, and the co-development and co-production agreement that we have for military systems is significant. So are the MOUs that have been signed between, let's say, Fincantieri and Cochin Shipyard on the design, on shipbuilding, manufacturing, and repairs. So what are the future prospects for defense cooperation? You can be a little more specific on that.
So one of the most important outcome of the last digital summit of 6 November 2019 was precisely the common wish to really enhance our collaboration in the defense sector, not only at the level of the two Ministry of Defense that are now working on a new partnership for the coming years, but also at the level of defense industry, where, you know, Italy is more able than other partners to transfer technology, to invest directly in the country, to share technology in strategic sector like radar, helicopters, unmanned vehicle, shipbuildings, aerospace services and industry, and also satellite data that are very important also in disaster prevention and also in environmental issues. So I think we have all the potential here to work much more than in the past in the defense industry, and we are working very hard now to try to shape this new partnership with the Indian government, Ministry of Defense, Indian partners.
Thank you. I now come to the linkages that we have between our two countries in education, and that seems to be a growth area between the two countries. We also know that India has come up with a new education policy. So are the Italian institutions and universities willing to take advantage of this policy and look for opening new campuses, for example, in India? Is anything more being done to get more Indian students into it?
Thank you, Anil. People-to-people connectivity is one of the pillars of the bilateral relation with India that was also stressed in the last joint declaration signed on the 6th of November. And actually, we have increased a lot the number of Indian students in the Italian university. We reached the record number of 4,844 Indian students in the year 2020, even with an increase of this number during the COVID period. This was really impressive. The interest of the Indian students to go to Italy in the Italian university, especially in engineer, in architecture, in design, in fashion, in medicine, in many sectors where India and Italy has established a very important partnership. We want also to increase the presence of the Italian university, the exchange between Italian university and Indian university. And also we have a presence of a fashion school here in India, Marangoni. I can tell you the highest number of the students of fashion school in Milan are not from United States, not from China, they are from India. 26% of the students of Marangoni school in Milan comes from India. That also the evidence of the important tradition of creativity here in India can be another element of our partnership. And of course, we try also to promote more and more integration of the Indian community in Italy, because you know Italy hosts the highest number of Indians in the European Union after Brexit. 180,000 Indians live and work in Italy, especially in the food industry, mainly coming from Punjab and Rajasthan. They work in the food industry. They are very talented and skilled workers, and sometimes they become also manager of companies from India to Italy. And we've also seen an increase of Indian investment in Italy in strategic sector like automotive, with the acquisition of Pininfarina, one of the most iconic Italian design company, by Mahindra, Indian company, and also in the sector like oil and gas, with the acquisition of a branch of Trevi in oil and gas drilling by an Indian company, and also in the railway sector with the investment of a railway plant in the south of Italy, at Caserta, with Titagar from West Bengal. So I give you some idea on how we are trying to work more and more to facilitate mobility and also to facilitate connectivity. In terms of mobility, we have also reached the highest number of visas issued from Italy to the Indian citizens in the year 2019. Of course, in 2020, for the restriction linked to the COVID crisis, we had to reduce the number of visas, but in 2019, we delivered 130,000 visas to Italian citizens, one of the highest number all over the Schengen area. And also we have increased the tourism from India to Italy and from Italy to India. We estimate more than 100,000 tourists from in the two directions. And we want to increase also this exchange, and also having exchange of expertise in tourism and also in heritage promotion and protection, because Italy and India are the countries with the highest number of UNESCO heritage sites. So there is also some agreement. There are also some agreements to have a collaboration for the promotion of heritage sites.
Quite right, Ambassador. I think in the preservation and restoration of monuments and preservation of heritage, and also in the tourism field, Italy indeed is a world leader, and I think potential collaboration between India and Italy was clearly reflected in the action plan that agreed upon between the two sides for 2020-24 during the last summit meeting. And you rightly mentioned that we have some existing mechanisms in this regard. And so, other than heritage and preservation of monuments, are there any other fields in the people-to-people links that you wish to take forward in the future?
Of course, we want to promote further projects in the cultural field, because culture is really the link between the two countries, the two people, and we are not working only on a heritage, and also on the tradition on Sanskrit studies You know, Italy is one of the leading countries in the world in terms of Sanskrit studies. Since the last century, in Italian scholars all over the world, they spread knowledge about the Indian linguistic, religious, and philosophical tradition. And I can announce here that we are launching a publication of 3 books on Sanskrit and Indology in the coming months. One of the most ancient time on the Veda time, the other one on the history of Indian art all along the centuries, and also one of society and political developments after in the last century until the independence and after. And also for the first time we have an English publication of the biography of Tucci. Tucci was one of the pioneers in Europe in the promotion of Indian and Asian culture in the 30s of last century. And we opened also a museum in Rome about all this historical tradition and masterpiece. And also in the creativity industry, last year Italy was partner country of FICCI Frame for promoting exchange between the movie industry, Bollywood industry from India, and the Italian movie industry. There's also a long tradition. And India was invited to be a partner country in the last Venice Festival last September. The Venice Festival, FICCI was a partner for a focus on India new movie production. So I think we have a lot of fields where we promote people-to-people connection and people-to-people activities. And I am so glad that, unfortunately, also during this period of COVID, using these digital modalities, we have been able to do some very interesting projects, and we will do more after COVID, of course.
Thank you, Master. I think one must mention here that the Cultural Center of Italy is doing a wonderful series on Italian provinces and cities, which is quite popular, by the way, and a lot of people do watch it regularly because in these days when you cannot travel, this is the best way to look at what Italy has to offer. And I'm sure when it opens up, there will be many more tourists than the 100,000 that you mentioned. My last question before we open the session to the audience is on the recent steps taken by India to open up its economy and to make manufacturing more attractive. So as you know, the corporate tax rate has been, for example, reduced to 25%. And then we have the production-linked incentive scheme in 13 sectors. We also have the phased manufacturing plan, which has been rolled out. Now, Italy already has 600 odd companies in India, and the investment route, I'm sure, will give an added impetus to the economic relations between the two countries. So is Italy looking to take advantage of this situation in any of these 13 sectors and to invest more in India? And I'd also like to ask you about the sectors in India which are interesting for Italian companies. Also, if you can tell us where can Indian companies invest in Italy?
Yes, thank you, Anil. We not only want to take advantage of the new reforms here in India in terms of opening of the market to foreign investors. We have already taken advantage because we have increased our investment. We have increased our bilateral trade by 22% in the period 2017-2019, and we would like to do even more in the coming 5 years, because the important reforms adopted here in India in terms of regulation, in terms of land acquisition, in terms of fiscal reform, really have paved the way to further investment. And in fact, I can mention that India last year, 2020, was the country, the #1 destination of foreign direct investment in the world. When in the world we had a minus 42% in terms of foreign direct investment. Here in India, we had an increase of 13% of foreign direct investment. That means there are favorable conditions and environment here in India to invest, and also the programs of the Modi government, Make in India, Self-Reliant India, that means that India wants to become a productive platform, encourage investment and technology coming from Europe and from Italy here in India. The same also, the attraction of Indian companies to Italy has increased in the last few years. And I think with the new recovery plan adopted by Italy in the framework of the European Union recovery plan offers new opportunities to Indian companies that want to invest in green economy, renewable energies, digitalization. I especially want to mention digitalization because India is a superpower in terms of digitalization, and Italy is a superpower in terms of manufacturing. Now, the future of manufacturing is precisely Industry 4.0, that is the matchmaking between manufacturing and digitalization. So we can work on digital services provided by the Indian companies and advanced manufacturing provided by Italy. So we have frontiers, new frontiers of our partnership here. And also, as I mentioned before, in all the field of energy transition, we can do more. And I also want to underline that India has one of the most effective foreign investment attraction agency, that is InvestIndia, that has facilitated during the last few years the investment of Italian companies. We were the first country to sign an agreement with InvestIndia for a digital platform. A digital platform means we can organize matchmaking between Italian big companies, but also SMEs and Indian partners and authorities. And we have organized more than 200 events in the last year with InvestIndia with this digital platform. So I think we have all the conditions here in India to further increase and improve the quality and the quantity of our investment from Italy.
Thank you so much. Those are very important steps, and this agreement that you have with Invest India certainly has helped a lot from what you say, Ambassador. Now we will turn to the questions from the audience. And my first question is there any line of credit available for high-end input products which are imported from Italy?
Yes, we have a dedicated line for the Indian buyers to acquire technology and goods and products in Italy that is called the push strategy, promoted by our export credit agency, SACE, that has already been very effective and successful in the first 3 years. And now is the 3rd year of implementation of this strategy. And we reached a plafond of 1 billion euro of credit line already provided to Indian buyers, but we want to do more, especially with the new kind of project, so-called, let's say, value chain kind of projects that are destined to Indian SMEs and Indian Association of SMEs. One of these kind of project, the first pilot project for push strategy for SMEs, has been already launched in the food processing with an agreement with the Gujarat Food Park last month. And this is a very interesting experience. We present this also in our European Union meetings, because here is a sort of pilot project also for other European countries to provide new financial tools to have more exchange at level of SMEs, not only at the level of big companies. So this push strategy is a dedicated tool for the Indian market, for the Indian buyers, for the Indian companies.
Next question from the audience. Is there any business development support available for adoption of technology developed by Italian companies in India? And the question is that we have a new technology in mind that is in trial stage even in Italy.
You know, we are trying also to explore a new business model here in India, a new technology to introduce in the Indian market. Of course, there is a question also the evolution of the regulation that could allow, facilitate or not this kind of technology. Referring to the energy transition, for example, we would like to have investment in biofuel. Biofuel are essential for tackling the complex issues of energy transition, because from now to the complete electricity kind of mobility, you need also some transition in fuel. And biofuel could be really an asset in this regard. We have the most advanced technology in the production of biofuel by ENI and by Maire Tecnimont. And as I said in my introduction, Maire Tecnimont already launched a pilot project in Karnataka with the University of Bangalore. But we want to do more in other areas, of course, in the new materials, for production of goods, in new materials for fashion industry and design. So I think just few examples, but we have many more. And we work also in research on new materials, new source of energy, new products for making the economy and the industrial production more sustainable. So I think we have room for further improvement of investment, high quality investment in technology and research here in India.
Thank you. Next question from the audience is, what are some possibilities for leveraging India's emerging healthcare workforce and Italy's health system capabilities as we collaboratively tackle the current pandemic, but also for universal healthcare in both countries?
On health and pandemic, we had a very, very interesting webinar last October with the participation of the principal advisor of our Minister of Health. I had a talk with my Minister of Health recently. He wants to come here in India as soon as the condition will allow, because we really believe that Italy and India can be at the forefront of the global response for health and pandemics. We have exchanged experience at the level of the two ministries, at the level of hospitals, but also for research. We would like to create a matchmaking of center of excellences between Italy and India in research on new treatment for pandemics, on genomics, and also on other very promising fields of research to be better prepared in case of further pandemics and the global diseases.
Right. So next question is on the situation of the compensation from the Italian government to the fishermen from the Enrica Lexi case. Also, what is the status of the trial of the two Italian Marines?
Yes, we have already reached an agreement with the Indian government after the sentence of the tribunal that we both together addressed to have a contribution to the solution of this case. Now the situation is quite clear. We have solved the case, and now we are just completing some formal procedures. Thank you.
Thank you. Which is the government agency in Italy to contact for collaboration in green energy?
In green energy, we have not only the collaboration at the level of two governments, but more important at the level of companies. And also we would like to promote in the coming months an event for having an exchange of experience at the level of regulatory authority, because I want to insist, regulation is vital, is fundamental to progress, to make progress in the greening the energy production, transmission and distribution. We have the experience of Italy where we have increased a lot the number of investment, and also we have been able to reach the targets established in 25 for 2020 in terms of the energy mix. And we have very ambitious targets for 2050. We have to neutral carbon for 2050. So at the level of government, at the level of research agencies, we have some very important research center in Italy for clean energy like CESI. We will have a webinar next 30 of June with the think tank Gateway House, the participation of Niti Aayog and Invest India, and from Italy, our Under Secretary of Foreign Affairs, and the major companies from Italy and from India, precisely discussing and focusing on how to tackle together the challenges of energy transition.
Thank you. Next question is on your impression on the role of digital technologies to improve business collaborations between India and Italy, particularly in the food and agribusiness sectors.
Yes, as I said in my opening remarks, we have taken advantage of the digitalization in a way, at least at the level of promotion and matchmaking between Italian and Indian companies. I think we've been one of the highest number of events on digital modalities all over the world in terms of matchmaking and exchange between Italian and Indian companies. I have also to say that India is certainly one of the most dynamic countries in the world in terms of the digital transformation of the economic, industrial activities, but also in terms of promotion and matchmaking of companies. So in food processing, our first our pilot project was conceived and promoted through digital channels. So that's the evidence of the opportunities we have in the digitalization process. We have also exploring new modalities for the presence of Italian products in the Indian markets. We have launched a pilot project for the presence of Italian window in the Flipkart, that is the most important e-commerce platform here in India. And we have involved more than 40 Italian companies in the first stage of this project. But we want to do more, and we have the potential to do more.
Thank you. Next question is whether Italy should reorient towards the Indo-Pacific and India. How can this shift cause advancements in multilateral ties, especially with the Quad?
Yes, in Indo-Pacific also, we will have next week an important event organized by Italy, India, and Japan. It's the first time we have three countries, these three countries together, discussing and sharing views about the perspective and the future of Indo-Pacific. We share common values and principles, rule of law, level playing field, connectivity, inclusive growth, and also open and fair trade system. And as I mentioned in my introduction, Italy has joined in the last few years all the most relevant Indian initiative in the multilateral dimension of Indo-Pacific, like IORA, CDRI, and also the International Solar Alliance. So this will be a first event, very important event, after the adoption also of the European Union strategy on Indo-Pacific, which Italy supported a lot in the preparation and also in the adoption. So I think now it's time to share this view, to work together, and to create in this area an inclusive process of multilateralism in a peaceful dimension of the growth of this important and strategic area.
So now we're coming to the last two questions, Ambassador. One is, India and Italy have enhanced cooperation in the field of counterterrorism and security. How can they make joint efforts to bring it to the UN agenda?
Also on counterterrorism, we had the preparation of the digital summit, some exchange with the Indian Minister of External Affairs. We are planning to have our working group on counterterrorism. So we work a lot, very closely, also with our intelligence agencies and the two governments, the two relevant agencies, the minister competent. So I think also in this field, we share views and we work together with India. And also in the G20 agenda will be some discussion, debate about terrorism, of course. And Italy and India can contribute also to reinforce the international commitment against terrorism.
Thank you. The last question is, how can we strengthen the tooling and auto ancillary industries between our two countries?
Which
Tooling and ancillary industries.
automotive?
Automotive ancillary, yes.
Yes, automotive is an historical field of collaboration, as I mentioned. And now, you know, Italy is part of a conglomeration of industry that is called Stellantis. That is a new big company, the fourth in the world, that has a sort of a merger between Fiat Chrysler and Peugeot from France. And now they have a new strategy for Asia and for India. But for the time being, FCA, that is Fiat, has launched new investment project here in India, a digital hub, a global digital hub in Hyderabad, a digital hub for services for automotive industry, and also 2 new plants for the production of jeeps here in India. So this is an important step in reinforcement of our presence here in India. But you have also to consider all the Italian value chain that is made by SMEs, that is very active, very innovative, and can be also of interest for the Indian automotive industry, because also after Brexit, there is a potential to invest more in the automotive sector in Italy, because we have a very, very effective and powerful SMEs value chain in the automotive sector that is also strongly integrated with the German industry, as you know. So I think also in the automotive sector, we have a potential for further investment and project together.
So before we close, Ambassador, there is a follow-up on the question you answered about the contact for green energy. And this is from Mr. S. Autumn, who represents Petroleum Conservation Research Association under the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas in the Ministry of Government of India. And what he says is that he looks forward to know more details of the concerned official to contact and work together on green energy. So perhaps the embassy could follow up on that at a later stage.
Of course, we will provide all the useful contacts for any idea or proposal of partnership. That's for sure. It's our work, daily work.
Thank you so much, Ambassador De Luca. It's been wonderful talking to you, and also I commend you for answering a whole gamut of questions on a number of issues that were raised today. Thank you for your opening remarks, and also giving us very clear answers, ranging from investment to climate to energy to EU cooperation and the bilateral cooperation between India and Italy. And I'm sure under your dynamic leadership, this relationship will continue to flourish in the future as well. Thank you for appearing for Ananta Aspen today.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Wadhwa. I want again to thank Ananta Aspen Center for giving us this opportunity to share with you our views and our presence here in India. And thank you again, and hope to have further occasion to this kind. Thank you.
Bye-bye.